Welcome back to the Unsweetened Truth with Kristen Pucci. On today's episode, we're answering all of your questions directly from TikTok. You guys left me a bunch of questions underneath a requested post, but you've also asked quite a few good questions on other previous posts as well. So we're going to knock through as many as we can today. And if you guys ever have future questions, feel free to send them to the podcast or message me directly on TikTok. And this is the Unsweetened Truth podcast. This podcast is for the things that people don't talk about, the lessons that push you forward, the challenges that almost take you out, and the choices that shape your life. Leadership, work, life, and everything in between. Like hanging out with your big sister and best friend, who also happens to be a boss. Let's talk, grow, and figure it out together. So before further ado, we're just going to get started. First question. Someone asked me, what's your relationship with "you're so strong"? I'm going to make an assumption here because, again, I only have just what you guys have asked me. I could guess that this probably has something to do with some of the TikToks that I've done about empathy and being like this parentified daughter and being the strongest one and always falling, landing on your feet and whatever it may be. I think it's also closely related to how people will say, "You're such a old soul. You're so wise for your age." And people don't recognize where that comes from and how people become that way. And I think they think it's a compliment, which in some ways it definitely is, right? Like I'd rather be smart than dumb. I'd rather be wise than unwise, right? But what I think is funny about it is it comes from somewhere. And so this concept of "you're so strong" and you'll figure it out and you've got it. You always figure it out. I know you can do it. I appreciate that you think this way of me, but there's times that I wish that I didn't have to be so strong. There's times that I wish I didn't have to figure it out. And the reasons why I had to figure it out is many times maybe I had to figure it out on my own. And many times I felt like I couldn't ask for help or I didn't ask for help. And so, yes, you become strong from, like, think of just working out, right? You're tearing apart a muscle and then it's reforming and becoming bigger. You're doing the exact same thing to yourself. So that's how people are becoming strong, is from tearing apart and then rebuilding themselves. And you get stronger and stronger and stronger over time. So I appreciate the compliment. I think it's very nice. However, it should not, and I know that it does, and I wish that it didn't, give people a free pass to have to be strong for you or provide support to you or think that you don't need help. And I know that a lot of people on that post were saying, "Well, are you someone who asks someone for help? Are you someone that you're like, no, I can handle it. No, I can." I am someone who I love to ask people for help. I love to delegate. I love to ask for help. There was a time that I did not, but that is a very true thing to bring up and a true conversation to have is if you are someone who needs help and you are this very strong person, this problem solver, you do have to ask for help if you want to receive help. And that doesn't mean that you ask one time to one person that consistently has shown you that they're not going to help. You need to rewrite a new reality for yourself. You need to ask different people for help. You need to ask different types of people for help and make sure that they are things that they can help you with. There has to be a level of self awareness. If you're someone that no one ever wants to help me, there needs to be a level of self awareness. Did you contribute to that? And did you make that your reality? And if you have not, and you simply have asked a lot of people and they haven't shown up for you, well, then I would be asking you who you have around you. Because for a very long time, I did not have people around me that I know would show up for me. And now I know that I do. I have lots of people that if I called them crying or I called them upset or I need help, they absolutely would snap into action. But I also am self aware enough to recognize that I would say most do have the impression that I will handle it and I will figure it out because I do. And that's okay. So, as long as you're openly communicating and you are sharing it with healthy people who truly care about you and your well-being, the "you're so strong" piece probably came from some people that were not helping you. So that's my opinion and my relationship with it. But I think it should be taken mostly as a compliment, but there should be some self-awareness in regards to how did I get there? What is one tough boundary you had to put, I'm assuming this says put up, that has made your life easier? One tough boundary. This is a very recent one for me in the last year or so that I'm not going to help somebody or want something more for them than they want it for themselves. I am very much that friend and that person that is incredibly encouraging and like, you can be better and you can do better and you can date better and be with better and live better and make more money and there's a better way. And not everybody wants that. Not everybody wants better or views what you think is better as better. They don't see it that way. So your way may not be better to them or better to them yet because of where they are. And that's okay. So the boundary that I've had to put around myself and with other people is, you can tell me about your problems all day, every day. Old Kristen would have snapped into action to help you solve them or wanted to help you solve them. Now I don't want to. I've exhausted myself for a very, very long time helping people that really weren't ready for help or didn't want help, or I tried to save people that did not really want to be saved. They wanted to just stay in their victimhood and live there forever. And I'm like, there's a better way. And they maybe don't want what you want. There's a lot of people that don't want to look at themselves. They don't want to live in reality. They don't want to be better, do better. And their own stuff is getting in the way of that. And I can't save someone. I didn't cause those issues with them. So I can't help them navigate what the person I'm currently looking at and, 20 years backwards of certain types of treatment or trauma or whatever it may be. So I've had to put some very strong boundaries around myself to not save everyone, not fix everyone, and not assume that everybody has the same goals, dreams, desires, values, belief systems, or wanting to be in a better state than they currently are. Great question. What have your seasons of rest been like? What made it easier for you? So funny thing about me is I used to be very, very type A, very controlling, control freak, type A, whatever. And now I consider myself very, very type B, like to the point that, I mean, you guys probably wouldn't see it, but I'm like sitting next to my bag and I'm like, and my team is going, you need to move the bag next to you. And I go, what bag? And it's a pillow. I thought it was a pillow. I care what I care about, and I'm very particular about certain things. And there's other things I'm just not particular about or care about whatsoever. And, I used to care about everything. I used to have to control everything. I used to have to micromanage everything. I used to have to check in. Are you doing this or not? I drove myself nuts. I drove myself crazy. And I had all this anxiety and I had all this fear and I had all these insecurities and I had this like suspicion. I lived in a place of suspicion and it was just excruciating. And so now, am I still particular about certain things? Absolutely. But I am much more cool, calm, and collected than I used to be. And I would attribute that to allowing myself to just let things play out, let people figure things out in the timeline that they need to figure it out, let them sound like Mel Robbins, just let them. Let them. But it's true. I mean, there is there is an element of it that you just need to let people be who they are and let them show up for you if they're going to show up, and let them not show up for you if they're not going to show up for you. And that's it. And so my seasons of rest right now look look a lot more like me taking care of myself instead of taking care of other people. I really enjoy my quiet time now. I really enjoy not having plans. I used to be the person that I felt like such a loser if I did not have plans or I didn't have something to do, or I would create this narrative that nobody liked me or wanted to hang out with me if I didn't have plans every weekend. I would hate it if I had plans every weekend now. I like plans every so often. I like being at home. I like doing my hobbies. I like eating my food. I like laying in my bed. I like going out in my backyard and just standing in the grass and watching my dog. Like these simple things in life I just truly love so much. And so rest to me looks like me running my life instead of my life running me. I very much so manage my calendar. I have strong boundaries with my calendar. If I gave my time to every single person that wanted it, I would never rest. And so finding true rest and true peace is recognizing what you want to be included in your life and what you do not, and what you want to let upset you and what you want to let not upset you, right? It's quite a bit to get me rattled at this point, and it's quite a bit to get me to like truly stress and be stressed about something. It's got to be like I don't even want to say very severe. It's hard to do now, and I'm very appreciative of that because there was a time that I lived in a constant state of stress and worry and anxiety, and I don't anymore. So I appreciate that a lot. So what made it easier for me was just making tough calls and tough decisions on people that I maybe didn't want to spend time with, or things I didn't want to do, and really audited my life, which is going to be another episode. Audited my life of all the things that I was like, what do I genuinely even like, and what do I not? And what am I doing just because I feel like I have to do it? And what am I doing because I want to? Another good question. How did you navigate seasons where you felt stuck in your life? Let me take a sip and think about it. I don't know that I've ever been someone to feel stuck. um, I'm going to use like a parallel word of stuck. Stuck in my life is when nobody can help me with something that I'm navigating, and it's usually business related. I'm thinking of one specific instance, but it's a situation. I would say, I don't want to say I didn't feel stuck, but I felt a bit helpless. So I'm going to use the word helpless because that's more of my vision of stuck. I don't feel stuck in anything really, because I'm just not one to stay stuck. I'm not one to just like sit and like whine about something. I'm not wanting to just deal with something. I hate that word deal. You guys ask me that question all the time on TikTok, and I say it every single time you guys ask me on my lives. You go, how do you deal with? I said, first of all, I don't deal with anything. So I'm not one to get stuck, but I am one to feel helpless sometimes. And it's very specific circumstances that I feel like it's so complex and it's such a unique situation to me that I know. And I know this because my friends will say it to me. They'll go, is there anything I can help you with? Even though I feel like there isn't. Like, I know this is nothing I can help you with, but what can I do? And that's a hard thing that I have to navigate frequently, is that because of the life that I've chosen and who I am from a business and personal perspective, my friends or my family will feel as though they cannot help me, and I know they can't. So the only way that they are able to support me is through just being there, right? Nobody may understand what's going on. May able to actually help me with what's going on, but their presence and them just being there to listen to something that I have to say for the millionth time because I just have to verbally process it or whatever. That's the way that people have helped me navigate those seasons. And it's interesting as well, in these last, I'd say, year to 2 years, I've found that there's a lot of paths that you have to take alone. There's a lot of paths that you have to take alone. And that's because there's a journey and a character. There's character forming. There's a growth that you need to go through. There's lessons that you need to go through. And that's something that you need to walk alone by yourself, between just you and God. And God knows what's going on. You know what's going on. And I don't know that anybody else needs to be included in it. And I've just recently had walked a season like that, that I really couldn't rely on anybody but God, because He was the only one that really knew what had happened. And I was the only one that really knew what happened, right? When we think about those incredibly intimate relationships that you have with another person, the only person that really knows what's went on between you and them is you and them and God. That's it. And you can explain it as much as you can to somebody else or whatever, but the feelings and the conversations and the whatever, they're the only true people that have gotten it. And so you can't humans will just let you down. And I'm not saying that to be negative. It's just the way that it's human nature. People don't know how to meet your needs all the time, and they shouldn't. And so when you're going through seasons that you have to walk by yourself, you just become so much stronger. You really get to see, again, going back to auditing, you get to see who's for you, who's against you, and who's kind of like a fair weathered friend, who's somebody who can make it through the hard stuff, who's somebody that's ride or die for you. That's how I navigate those seasons. I navigate those seasons with deep reflection. And if I'm feeling emotionally heightened or irritated or whatever it is, my therapist says to me, she goes, "You're compromised." And when I know that I'm compromised, I need to be quiet. I need to say less. I need to listen more. So if you feel yourself being a way that is not your best, my best advice to you would be to just like go into a shell a little bit, go and become a little bit more quiet, become a little bit more reserved, be deep in self-reflection, step back from a lot of things to just care for yourself, and then feel free to go back out into the world again. What is one thing you've done to maintain healthy relationships? Have really hard conversations. Have really hard conversations and try to create the environment for a hard conversation to happen, because I believe that one really good, honest, and vulnerable conversation can solve a lifetime's worth of troubles. I really believe that. Families can be redeemed through tough conversations. Friendships can be redeemed through tough conversations. And so a healthy relationship has conflict. There's this horrible myth out there that like, oh, we never fight, we never have issues. We're just so happy. We love each other all the time. We're so great. Absolutely not. Okay. That's not real. That's not real. That's either there's someone's lying and someone's acting, and then you might trade spaces every so often. It is totally normal to have conflict, to have discussions, to have tiffs, to have little disagreements. I mean, my goodness, why even be in a relationship if you both believe and think and say the exact same thing? Like, just clone yourself and marry yourself. So maintaining healthy relationships means having the hard conversations, having the tough conflicts, not leaning away from it, lean into it. And I really try to make those environments happen while also recognizing that other people may not be as comfortable having conflict related conversations or something that's confronting somebody. A lot of people really, really struggle with that. They do not like confrontation. So trying to be someone who doesn't sweep things under the rug, doesn't, allow wonder, doesn't allow an elephant to just stand in the room and leave it there and nobody touches it. I try to be that person who provides the opportunity to have the tough conversation, lead the tough conversation, and make sure that the tough conversation happens, because it's not healthy or good to have feelings towards somebody and secret resentment or secret anger or secret whatever for an outstanding time. It makes you physically sick. You guys, anybody listening to this, I mean, you can think about it. It makes you sick. So, and it just makes you interpret people a certain way. It's just not good. So if you guys want to have healthy relationships and maintain them, lean into the conflict, lean into the confrontation, lean into the hard stuff. It makes your relationships even better. Every friend, every partner, every family member, every time that I've ever had a difficult conversation, client even, every time I've had a difficult conversation and and both parties have handled it respectfully with maturity and have able to move through it together, the relationship is even stronger on the other side. So yeah. And if people can't, just a side note, if people can't have conversations like that, it's because they're not looking to have a healthy relationship. So reflect on that. Advice on making enough money to move out, get financially independent, pay off your student loans, and chase my dreams. Okay, so advice on making enough money. I'm going to make assumptions here about this question, and I talk to my team, so they think it's the same, but you let me know in the comments if this is not how you wanted your question answered. I'm assuming that you are somebody who has not moved out and you're not financially independent. You do not have your student loans paid off and you want to chase your dreams, and how to go about doing that, right? And making enough money to do all of those things. So I love that money comes into play here. I just recently made a TikTok on this I was speaking mostly to women, but I know that I think it's like 19%, whatever it is. Female. I have a majority female followership. So I usually like to talk to the females, and I was explaining that the reason why I think it's very important, it is incredibly important for you guys to be prioritizing making and saving money, because you never want to be in a circumstance or a situation that you cannot get out of. And money allows opportunities, right? Money, having resources, whether it's people, connections, whatever it may be, provides you opportunities to get out of something you don't like and get into something that you would like to do. So what I would recommend is, it's not just all money either, though. You can utilize, there's a lot of things that are free too, because money has power, but knowing people also has power. So what I would recommend, where you currently are in your stage of life, I'm going to assume you're, early, maybe in your 20s or something like that. And if you're not in your 20s, there is no right or wrong stage to be at this stage. But so what I would say is, look at a budget. You need to create a budget. And I am not a financial person whatsoever. I'm just simply regurgitating information that other people have given me. You need to have a budget. You need to generally know what things cost. You need to know what your value is as an employee. It is not your employer's job to pay for all of the expenses that you want to have. I've had interns do that in the past, and new employees that come out of college, they go, I want to make $75,000 a year. I go, okay, great. Do you think tell me why you think, $75,000? Well, I know that my going rate is about 50, but I know that I want to get an apartment, and I also want to get a new car. And I also have, $1,000 student loan that I have to pay every single month. That's not my problem. As your employer, that's not my problem. Those are choices you are making that cost money that you have to pay for. So be very clear about things that you actually need that are realistic. It is not realistic. I'm talking to the 20 somethings here. It is not realistic to get your dream apartment as your first apartment. Okay. It is not realistic to have your first car as your dream car. All this social media BS that you guys are seeing, it is not normal. It is normal. It is more normal to struggle and learn how to manage money when you first start getting your first, real world job that's maybe related to whatever you went to school for or what you're really passionate about if you did not go to school. And you need to have a budget. You need to know what's realistic. Do not go and put yourself into debt because you want to go get your dream apartment right out of school, your dream car right out of school. You pay $3,000 for a doodle because you want a doodle puppy. You're got to be kidding me, guys. Let's be realistic. So, what enough money is, I don't know what that is to you, but I know that you need to live below your means or you're constantly going to be in debt, specifically credit card debt. So, live below your means. But I want to say this. I am a major proponent, and anybody can have their own opinion. This is my opinion. You don't have to take my opinion. I think it is incredibly important for a college grad or come post graduation of high school for you to move out of your parents' home, regardless of where you are from a financial perspective. I think you need to move out of your parents' home. I think you need to get your own place or live with other people your age. I know it's a new thing. I know the world is expensive. I know all of these things. I too am living in it. I understand. But in whatever way that you can get creative, it is important to get out of that next stage of life, to get out of your parents' house and get out of under their roof, out of their finances, and start to learn independence. You do this from having your own place to live in. Again, may not just be you. Maybe you have roommates or multiple roommates. Rent a house with other people. You can get creative, having your own job, having your own car. It doesn't have to be your dream car. I don't even have a dream car, honestly. That's just not something I'm interested in. Other people do. You don't need to have your dream car. You need a vehicle, an engine to get you from A to B. That's what you need in your stage of life. And then you need to get very focused on learning about money and saving money and what are the things that you prioritize. Again, you can fall into that trap of comparing yourself to other people and I want the newest this and the newest that and newest whatever. No, you want to have money readily available to you to be able to do the things that you want to do. But it is very, again, normal in your 20s and in your 30s, even sometimes into your 40s, that you have to pay off these student loans. You have to, you're not going to have a ton of savings, right? Or you're not going to have a ton of money to invest in other things simply because you are scraping and getting by. That is a very normal part of life and you are not alone. Many people are there. They don't want to talk about it. I have been in all facets of my relationship with money. I've been in bad places, I've been in good places, and I know everybody else has as well. People just don't usually like to talk about it. And I think no matter what, you should chase your dreams. If it is something that is put on your heart and you have a purpose and a passion and you are so, go do it. If it is something that you know that God has put on your heart to go do, he is going to make those doors and windows fly open to make it happen for you. And he's not worried about your bank account and he's not worried about, what you're going to make and what you're not. If you're supposed to do it and it's a part of your plan, then you need to go and you need to do it. If you believe that this is just something that you want to do and you don't feel it's a part of your purpose, I would ask you to sit with yourself a little bit and see how you can make it happen. But I hope that's helpful. You tell me if it was, but that's just my experience on all of that. Being in my late 30s, I find it more challenging than ever to find a new career. Am I just being paranoid or is this something others are seeing too? Ooh. I have, in true Kristen Pucci fashion, I'm going to go a little bit deeper from the question that I believe that you're asking me. But you're in your later 30s. You feel as though you should know exactly where you're supposed to be and what career you want to be in. And you're finding it incredibly more challenging. You're finding it incredibly challenging to find a new career. I would be curious if you were sitting across from me, and if you're listening to this, I hope you are. Is that because you don't like what you've been doing for the last however many years? Do you want to pivot and try something entirely new? Are you just struggling to find a job? Because I know that that's not real. There's a lot of people that are hiring right now, not in specific industries or in certain places. And I understand that, the economy affects things like that. But there's a lot of opportunity out there. And whether you create it for yourself, going into business for yourself, or you work for somebody else, there's a lot of opportunity. And it is never too late. Saying that you're in your late 30s, you are young. I am younger than you and you are young. People don't find their dream and their purpose and their passion. I mean, you could just do research on like multimillionaires, billionaires when they started their companies. They're in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s. It is never too late. It is never, never, never too late. So I understand that it may be challenging, but there might be something else that you're struggling with in regards to finding a new career. Maybe you just don't really know exactly which career you want to go down. So sit with yourself. My advice would be to you, sit with yourself and make a list in a notebook. Have your cup of coffee or cup of tea in the morning, one morning, maybe on the weekends, so you're not stressed, having to rush somewhere. Write down all the things you ever have been passionate about ever since you were a little child. Since you're a little boy or a little girl and you just sat with yourself, I want you to write a list of all the things you've ever been passionate about. And it could be as small as like, I loved Cheez-Its, to as big as I was always passionate about animals and I wanted to be a veterinarian. I want you to write as many things on this list as possible. And then and these are the things that light you up, not just like, I liked this. They lit you on fire. They got you so excited. And thinking about them now as an adult, thinking about yourself as a little kid, they still light you up on fire. I want you to make a list of those, and then I want to figure out how you can make money at those. Either go work for somebody who provides that opportunity or provide that opportunity for yourself. You're not paranoid. Other people are absolutely seeing the job market being different. It's a very normal thing to get older and older and older and, later in your career and then start panicking a little bit more about changing jobs. Totally normal thing. But you're in the prime, actually. So don't believe the lie that you're not going to find anything and there's nothing out there. You absolutely have more time and more opportunity to be and do whatever you want to do. So, great question. Well, thank you so much for everyone who submitted questions. That's just a select few. You guys ask me so many good questions all the time, whether it's in my DMs or my comments through my website. So for future questions, we want to try something new. I want you guys to head over to our Instagram. So the Unsweetened Truth on Instagram. You'll see my little face on the couch with the season 2 little thumbnail. Check that out. Go to that page and look for ways to either message us or DM us. We're going to come out with a new process for you guys to be able to submit questions because you ask so many good ones all the time and I don't want to miss any. So head on over to our Instagram, follow the page, and make sure to submit any questions that you have for the future. I appreciate all the questions that everybody have asked over the last couple of weeks. We have many, many more to go through, and I just really appreciate you guys wanting to ask them to me and trust me with my advice. So I super, super appreciate it. We'll keep doing these style of episodes, question and answer. I hope to eventually do live question and answer. I'd love people to call in. So we're working on that. Look out for that. And if you have any ideas, we're always excited to hear them. But thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And I look forward to talking to you guys next week.